What up, though? African American Registry. This says Sunday, 6/1, 1800. I'm assuming the illustration is from 1800. I'm assuming. But it does say Sunday, 6/1, 1800. African American Registry. I know that is not from 1800 because there's no such thing as an African American, and there definitely ain't no such thing as an African American in the year 1800. On this date, we look, I'm sorry, the title of the article, Nigga, the Word, a Story. On this date, we look at the history of the word nigga in America, a word that still sits at the center of anti black verbal distortions. So, immediately, anti black. So, what does that mean? Anti black. Well, if nigga stands or sits at the center of anti black verbal distortions, I'm going to have to say that nigga is the opposite of black, right? Black means nothing. Black means pale, bleached, bleak. There is no such thing as a black human. On the other hand, we have the word nigger, which is anti-black. Now, I know Negro means black, negro means black. I know. But the words in this paragraph, in this article, it's anti-black. The word anti-black verbal distortions. If you're against black, this is a term that you use. So I don't feel so bad about using it now. The history of the word nigger is often traced to the Latin word nigger, meaning black. The Latin word nigger meaning black. They're spelling these words different, but I'm going to say them the same way. This word became, so listen, if it's anti-black and it means black, see, that lets you know the spelling, spelling, spells, it makes sense when you think of it in terms of spells. Getting you to think a certain thing that just don't make sense. I would say that the way you spell it seems to determine whether it's good or bad. The history of the word nigger is often traced back to the Latin word nigger, meaning black. This word became the noun negro, black person in English, or negro, black person in English, and simply the color black in Spanish and Portuguese. In early modern French, nigger became negri, and later negress, black woman, was unmistakably a part of language history. One can compare to negre, the derogatory nigger, and earlier English substitutes such as negar, negar, neger, and nigger, that developed into its lexico-semantic accurate version in English. It is probable that nigger is a phonetic spelling of the white Southern mispronunciation of Negro. It is probable that nigger is a phonetic spelling of the white southern mispronunciation of Negro. There's no such thing as a white human, okay? And when they say white southern, they mean those Anglo-Saxons who are born in what is known as the southern United States and who speak, quote, country, end quote, or they speak southern, end quote, and they're looked upon as if the way they speak comes from them, even though they are all foreigners and all of their people come from somewhere else. And the places that their people come from, those places they did not speak the way their brethren speak today. It is probable that nigger is a phonetic spelling of the white southern mispronunciation of Negro. Or they could have learned it from us. Why is it not? I'm not going to say why is it not probable, because this article didn't suggest that it wasn't probable of, what I'm asking now. But do you think it's a possibility that maybe they got it from us, since we are the only Americans that there ever was, is, and will be? It is probable that nigger is a phonetic spelling of the white southern mispronunciation of Negro. Or they got it from us and we weren't mispronouncing Negro. We were saying what we wanted to say. Our people were saying what they wanted to say. Is that probable? And it's interesting. It says it is probable that it's a phonetic spelling. And the phonetics, this is something you'll find when you do genealogy. You'll look on, census records or other records and census records that were written by census enumerators, and you'll find that your relative's name will be spelled differently. For instance, I have a relative that on 5 different censuses and a couple of other documents, her name is spelled differently. So different, and her name is written differently. So differently that it made me immediately understand that the foreigners who were at one point the census enumerators, they weren't fluent in English, let alone American English, let alone even knowing American. So when our ancestors who were in rural Alabama and Mississippi and all these places, Kentucky and all these places, when the foreigners who were not fluent in English were talking to your people, they wrote down what they heard based on their ability to write English. Because some of our people had never written their name. They had never read their name. Why would they need to? Why would they have to? They people knew who they was. Why would they need to write their name or read their name? And I'm not saying all, because there are quite a few of my relatives who under the portion that says can read, can write, there's quite a few that says yes, they could read and write. Most of them spoke English. It was American English. It was more American sprinkled with English. We speak a lot more English today, but we still speak American because a lot of times the foreigners still can't understand us. Why? They say, well, you're not articulate. You're not enunciating. All of that is just to make you speak more English than American. At least that's the conclusion I've come to. Regardless of its origin, by the early 1800s, it had firmly established itself as a derogatory name. In the 21st century, it remained, regardless of its origin, by the early 1800s, it had firmly established itself as a derogatory name. Now, I'll try to remember to look and make sure to see if there is a source that backs up this claim that by the early 1800s, nigger had firmly established itself as a derogatory name, because I don't know that it was derogatory. I don't know that in the 1800s. I haven't seen anything that suggests that. One of my more recent shows, I get into some old newspaper articles. And in those articles, nigger is synonymous with American Indians. Okay? It's synonymous with copper colored, yellow bone, red bone, all that stuff. So as far as it being derogatory, I'm not sure if that's true or not, because today, I know today it ain't derogatory. The only way it becomes derogatory is when somebody else say it and the nigga who they saying it to, that day, they didn't want to hear it coming from them. Let's shake it. In the 21st century, it remains a principal term of white racism, regardless of who uses it. That's not true. In the 21st century, it remains a principal term of white racism, regardless of who uses it. That's not true. So we clearing everything up. No such thing as a white human. Now, the Anglo-Saxon, or who you term as white or Caucasian, when they use that word, they think, first of all, in the 21st century, when they're using that word, they've also been indoctrinated to think a certain thing about the word. A lot of them haven't looked into their family histories and really dug into the word nigger and how their people used it and what made them use it and what was said about it. No one ever asked them about that. No one ever asked them to do what I just suggested they do with their people. Learn about, why did you use it? Did you use it? How was it used? Do you remember? A lot of times people don't even remember a lot of stuff. And a lot of times these things won't necessarily be written down in your family story. And a lot of people don't know their family story. So when someone uses it today, when the people you term as white use it today, it's because they've been indoctrinated to think that by them calling you that, usually behind your back, by them calling you that, it's gonna make you angry. Or not angry, because that's not the idea, to make you angry. The idea is to make you feel less than. because they've been indoctrinated to think that the word is gonna make you less than. However, when I read it in old stuff or see so-called white people, people you term as white, use it in old footage, like 1920s footage or something like that, 1930s, 40s footage of so-called white people using it. The way they're using it is as if they've heard it so much that they now use it and it's a regular thing. It's a regular thing when describing the American Indian or the American, so much so that in the Oxford English Dictionary, the online version, the subscription-based version, one of the definitions of the word nigger is a North American Indian. See, we ain't gonna settle for nothing but all the way. Social scientists agree that words like nigger, kike, spick, and wetback come from three categories: disparaging nicknames, chink, dago, nigger; explicit group devaluations, Jew him down or nigger in the land; and irrelevant ethnic names used as a mild disparagement, Jew bird for cuckoos, having prominent beaks, or Irish confetti for bricks thrown in a fight. I don't know nothing about none of them. I've heard them, some of them before, but I mean, it doesn't concern me. Over time, racial slurs have victimized all racial and ethnic groups. Still, no American group has endured as many racial nicknames as blacks. No American group. So right here it says no American group. So we're a group now. Me, you, the people who live next door, people who live down the street. We're a group now. Has endured as many racial nicknames, and its American group has endured as many racial nicknames as blacks. Well, there's no such thing as a blacks. We are American. We are American. The only Americans it ever was, is, and will be. But we not blacks. There's no such thing as a black human. Right here, little does the African American Registry understand. I think they understand. Is that calling people blacks is worse than calling people niggers. You understand? Because, see, niggers, that come from the dirt. You understand? But blacks, see, that's a political thing. That's meant to keep a leash on you. Coon, Tom, Savage, Pickaninny, Mammy, Buck, Samba, Jigaboo, and Buckwheat are some. Coon, a raccoon. Tom, Uncle Tom, and I haven't read that Uncle Tom's Cabin or whatever. I haven't read that. Do I have a book over here? Uncle Tom. I have to read that. But I heard that, Uncle Tom wasn't what all of us think he was. Savage. Many people call themselves a savage today. And it just doesn't seem derogatory to me. Pickaninny. I'm pretty sure family members have said that. Mammy. That's not really a racial nickname. I mean, if by the term racial you mean the people who call themselves this stuff or who are called these things, then I guess, but I don't associate any of this political racial stuff with it. Buck. I got a relative right now. Uh, um Second great grandfather born in Kentucky. Got the same name that I got actually. And they called him Buck. And his people called him Buck. It says Samba. I think they may have meant Sambo. And you do a little research on the word Zambo, I'm pretty sure it has something to do with complexion. Jigaboo, I don't know where that came from. And buckwheat. Now, buckwheat's not offensive at all. Many of these slurs became entirely traditional, pseudo-scientific, literary, cinematic, and everyday distortions of African Americans. That is probably the most insulting to African American because it puts you in a group to where you're committing identity theft against yourself. Let that sink in. For instance, every people, every type of people from around on the planet, when they come here, all of a sudden they are whatever the nation is that they come from with a hyphen and then American as their surnation. They are German Americans. They are Italian Americans. They are Dutch Americans. They are Chinese Americans. They are Asian Americans. All of them are committing identity theft and they're not even aware of it. Maybe they are. Maybe they just don't care, but I don't think they're even aware of it. And when you call yourself African American or someone else does, you are committing identity theft against yourself. These caricatures, whether spoken, written, or reproduced in media and material objects, reflect the extent and the vast network of anti-black prejudice. No such thing as a black human. So anti-black, anti-nothing prejudice. So anti, and then it's a redacted space in the middle. Prejudice, anti-prejudice. I don't think that's what they were going for, but that's what happened. The word nigger carries much hatred and disgust directed toward black Africans and African Americans. Now, I'm not familiar with, first of all, there's no such thing as a black human. Africans, some people in Africa, just like some people here, just like some people in Europe, are very dark brown, so much so that they look black almost. Some people say, oh, that person blue black. They say that person blue black, which is not true. Though they're just saying something. There's no such thing as a black human. The word nigger carries much hatred and disgust directed toward black Africans and African Americans. Now, check this out. It's not many of us who have ever been in the presence of someone who you term as white that called one of us a nigger. Listen, you can't name 20 people. You probably can't name 5 people. Let me think. You probably can't name 5 people. 5 niggers that then told you that somebody who is termed white have called them a nigger. You probably can't name 5 people. because it's not a regular occurrence. It's not, it don't happen. You're saying that people aren't concerned with self-preservation if they walking around just doing things like that. And black Africans, I'm not sure what they mean when they say black Africans. There's no such thing as a black human. And Africans, directed toward Africans, I don't know if people are calling Africans, which are people from a place that has billions of people. If you're talking lines on the map, it consists of roughly 54 countries. All those people in all those 54 countries do not all look alike, and they don't all have the same experiences. And no one, if it's made up of those people mostly, they're not walking around. No one's walking around calling them niggers. I don't even think that's a thing in Africa. And African Americans. It's no such thing as an African American. Historically, nigger defined, limited, made fun of, and ridiculed all blacks. Historically, I'm not sure what the source is. See, that's when it starts becoming important. When you start making claims like this, it would really be nice. It would really be good, I should say, to get an example. Historically, nigger defined, limited, made fun of, and ridiculed all blacks. When, you know what? I'm thinking when they say historically, they mean on TV or something like that. It was a term of exclusion used by us because we the only ones use it around us. So it is exclusive. A verbal reason for discrimination, whether used as a, and let me just be honest with you. I've never in real life heard anyone say the word nigger except another nigger. Okay. Whether used as a noun, verb, or adjective, it strengthened the stereotype of the lazy, stupid, dirty, worthless nobody. That's not true. I've never looked at it in a manner where I associated it with someone being lazy, stupid, dirty, worthless nobody. I associate worthless nobody. I associate black with being nobody, as well as being nothing, as well as being redacted, as well as being non-existent. No other American surname carries as much purposeful cruelty. So it's not a surname. Nigger is not a surname. A surname, we all have surnames, and none of them are nigger. What we're learning here is that just because someone has a career writing editorials and articles and things of that nature, it doesn't necessarily mean that they use that it's important to them to make sure that their natural sense shines through in their work. Nigger as a word is also used to describe a dark shade of color. Nigger brown, nigger black. The status of whites that mix with blacks, nigger breaker, dealer, driver, killer, stealer, worshiper, and looking, and anything belonging to or linked to African Americans. It's No such thing as an African American. Nigga, baby, boy, girl, mouth, feet, preacher, job, love, culture, college, music, etc. Nigga is the ultimate American insult. That's not true. That's not true. The Because nigga and American is the same thing. It's the same thing. 9 times out of 10, if you talking to a nigga, you talking to an American. Now, every American don't call themselves nigga, but a lot of Americans have used it, and it wasn't an insult. The only way nigga is an insult if you say, man, what's wrong with that nigga? That nigga stupid than a mother, That's the only way it becomes an insult. Or that nigga a punk, you know what I mean? Something like that. It is used to offend other ethnic groups. Jews are called white niggas. Arabs saying, wait a minute, man. Jews are called white niggas. Arabs sand niggas. Japanese yellow niggas. Americans can create a racial hierarchy with whites at the top. Americans created a racial hierarchy with whites at the top and blacks at the bottom. And this is the smoke and mirrors. This is the smoke and mirrors. This is a figurehead position. When the particular group is put out in front, okay, and the other group controls from the background. The hierarchy was set up by an ideology that justified deceit, exploitation, and intimidation to keep blacks in their place. No such thing as a black human. We're Americans, American engines. Ministers preached that God was white and had condemned blacks to be servants. Ministers preached that God was white and had condemned blacks to be servants. Scientists measured black skulls. They did. Brains, faces, and genitalia, seeking to prove that whites were genetically superior to blacks. White teachers teaching only white students taught that blacks were less evolved cognitively, psychologically, and socially. And now you send your children to be taught by what is termed white teachers. The entertainment media, from vaudeville to television and film, portrayed blacks as docile servants, happy-go-lucky idiots, and dangerous thugs. And they still do this today. Blacks as docile servants. By blacks, I'm gonna assume that they're referring to Americans, the only Americans there ever was, is, and will be, the American Indians, as docile servants. Some are happy-go-lucky idiots. Some are, and dangerous thugs. Some are, and they still do this today. It still rings true. They over embellished, of course, but so does people to this day who are in fact themselves niggas. These items and countless others portrayed blacks with bulging, darting eyes, fire red, oversized lips, jet black skin, and either naked or poorly clothed. In 1874, the McLaughlin brothers of New York produced a puzzle game called Chopped Up Niggers. Beginning in 1878, the B. Leadersdory Company Lighters Dory Company of Milwaukee, Wisconsin produced nigger hair smoking tobacco. Decades later, the name was changed to Bigger Hair Smoking Tobacco. Nah, I'd like nigger hair smoking tobacco. You know? What you think? Which one? You like that better? I like nigger hair better. A 1916 magazine ad copyrighted by Morris and Bendon showed a black child drinking ink. The caption read, "Nigger milk." Shown. In 1917, the American Tobacco Company had a nigger hair redemption promotion. Nigger hair coupons were redeemable for cash, tobacco, S&H green stamps, or presents. The J. Milhoff Company of England produced a series of cards in the 1930s, which were widely distributed in the United States. One of the cards shows 10 small black dogs with the caption, "10 little nigger boys went out to dine." So the first one, it says, beginning in 1878, the B. Lighters Dory Company of Milwaukee, Wisconsin produced nigger hair smoking tobacco, and a 1916 magazine ad copyrighted by Morris and Bendon showed a black child. This is a magazine ad copyrighted by Morris and Bendon showed a black child drinking ink. The caption read, "Nigger milk." Okay. And right here, we have the tobacco, smoke or chew, nigger hair, smoking tobacco. You see that? That's an American Indian right there. I mean, the hoops, the sister still got the eyelashes, got eyelashes, just like sisters have today. You see, she even got her eyebrows cleaned up. But it's clearly an American woman. It's clearly an American Indian, and it's nigger hair smoking tobacco. Now, I don't know about you, but this does not offend me. To be honest, I'd like one of these tobacco containers. Why would this offend you? I mean, look at her hair. Who else have? Why wouldn't they put someone else hair on there? Why wouldn't they put someone else on there? Because when you think of, when you see, we not talking, when we talking this tobacco, smoking tobacco right here, we not talking about squares that you smoke today with 1,000 different ingredients in it. No, we're talking about pure tobacco. Okay, that comes from the ground. It's a difference. It's a difference. And I say that to say that who they're using to represent that pure thing that's growing from the earth is people who look like you. Why? Because it mean quality. Because it mean the best. They didn't put old girl on there. They didn't put old girl. The mannequin. The one that everybody look like, trying to look like. No, they put her on there. Yes. And right here, it say nigger milk. And it's got ink. And they're doing this to be honest, It's stupid. It because the little boy drinking ink, the little baby boy drinking ink, and the ink is black. They want you to think he black, but his hair is black. It's like it's not even well thought out, man. How could something so dumb offend anyone? That's what I'm saying. All these things back to back to back add up to they give you your thoughts. That's all this is an attempt to give you a thought, to give you your thoughts. That's all it is. That's all it is, because it's too dumb to be offensive. It's just dumb. It don't even make sense. This is the first line from a popular children's story called The 10 Little Niggers. It reads like this: 10 little nigger boys went out to dine. One choked his little self, and then there were 9. 9 little nigger boys sat up very late. One overslept, and then there were 8. 8 little nigger boys traveling in the van. One said he'd stay there, and then there were 7. 7 little nigger boys chopping up sticks. One chopped himself in half, and then there were 6. 6 little nigger boys playing with a hive. A bumblebee stung one, and then there were 5. 5 little nigger boys going in for law. One got in chancery, and then there were 4. 4 little nigger boys going out to sea. A red herring swallowed one, and then there were 3. 3 little nigger boys walking in the zoo. The big bear hugged one, and then there were 2. 2 little nigger boys sitting in the sun. One got frizzled up, and then there was 1. 1 little nigger boy living all alone. He got married, and then there were none. And this is the book right here. It's not a book. This right here is a nigger boy king size licorice cigarettes. See, who is always associated with smoking a tobacco pipe or a peace pipe? Indians, right? Later on, the propaganda pushed that what is associated with who smokes the peace pipe and the tobacco pipe is a Native American, right? A new construct, a new creation, the Native American. A political thing. Something that is not natural, doesn't have anything, that don't got nothing to do with us. Who's always associated with the tobacco? America, first of all, right? Virginia, South America, things like that. Kentucky. It's always been associated with the Indian, the tobacco pipes, the Indian. And now right here, nigger boy king size licorice cigarettes, they associating who with it? Niggers. Do you understand what's happening? You understand what is meant by all this? In 1939, writer Agatha Christie, she's the one who published the book called 10 Little Niggers. Now, when you look it up, they try to, 10 little, they turn it to 10 little Indians. In 1939, writer Agatha Christie published a book called 10 Little Niggers. Later editions sometimes changed the name to 10 Little Indians, right? Why would they go from 10 little niggas to 10 little Indians? Wouldn't they go if the little niggas wasn't niggas, if they wasn't Indians and they was African Americans, wouldn't they go to 10 little Africans, or hey, I'll give them this, 10 little pickaninnies. Ain't that more kind of how they relate all that together? No, they said 10 little niggas. Later editions sometimes change the name to 10 little Indians, or and then there were none. But as late as 1978, copies of the book with the original title were still being produced. It was not rare for sheet music made in the first half of the 20th century to use the word nigger on the cover. Yeah, because they know if it's associated with a nigger, or Indian, that is, it was the best. Yes? The civil rights movement, Supreme Court decisions, the black empowerment movement, the black empowerment. How are you empowered by black? By being redacted, by being nothing, by being pale, bleached. The civil rights movement, Supreme Court decisions, the black empowerment movement, broad civil rights legislation, and a general embracing of democracy by many American citizens or United States citizens, have worn down America's United States racial pecking order from slavery moving into the Jim Crow period and today's institutional racism. Yet the word nigger has not left. Right. Look how I'm saying it, right? Within the past few months, I probably said nigga more than I ever had in my life. Yet the word nigga has not left, and its relationship with anti-black prejudice remains symbiotic, interrelated, and interconnected. Ironically, it is codependent because a racist society created a nigger and continues to feed and sustain it. No, a racial society created a nigger and continues to feed and sustain it. Now, that's partly true. Okay. Racist society, a theoretical society, created the idea of something that would make a group of people think that they were less than. So a theoretical society created something to make you feel like you were less than, and something that you should feel less than for being who you are. Because as we can see, as we just went over, nigger is really synonymous with the American, with the only American it ever was, is, and will be. And the only thing that's happening here is foreigners, it seems, are putting out propaganda that we should get angry when referred to as a nigger. Or actually, to be honest with you, it almost seems as though there's a push to get rid of this word. Could it be because it is, in fact, synonymous with American Indian and continues to feed and sustain it, but the word no longer needs racism or brutal and blatant forms to survive? The word nigger today has its existence. Another interesting and confusing experience in American speech is the use of nigger by African Americans. No, there's no such thing as an African American. The word nigger endures because it is used over and over again, even by the people it insults. obviously it doesn't insult people if they're using it. Duh. Poet and professor Opal Palmer Adisa, hmm, Adisa, claims that the use of nigger or nigger, no, it's nigger, you know what I mean, is the same as young people's obsession with swearing. Oh, the swearing. Much of their use of such language is an internalization of negativity about themselves. So so saying so cussing is an internalization of negativity about yourself. So pick out 10 words. And if you use these 10 words, that means that's an internalization of negativity about yourself. Because you use these 10 forbidden fucking words. And some people say, hey, people cuss because they don't have their vocabulary isn't extensive enough so that they can use another word in the cuss word's place. Well, guess what? Some of us just like to cuss. Some of us like to use those 5, 6, 10 forbidden words. You know why? Because they all the same. The words ain't bad or good. They is what they is. Rappers themselves, poets, some rap about niggers before mostly white audiences, some of whom see themselves as wiggers. What a stupid line. When used by blacks, no such thing as a black human. Nigger refers to, among other things, all blacks. No such thing as a black. So when we referring to a nigger, it's usually an American. These arguments may not be valid in the real world. What other world is there? Brother and sister or sister are terms of endearment. Nigger was and still is a word of disrespect. So you say. Finally, if continued use of the word lessened its damage, then nigger would not hurt or cause pain now. And it don't. Blacks, no such thing as blacks, from slavery until now. We still work today. Everybody getting up, going to work tomorrow. Until today, have internalized many negative images that white society, no such thing as a white human, that Anglo-Saxons or Caucasian society cultivated and broadcast about black skin and black people. I've never seen black skin and black people. The use of the word nigger by blacks reflects this hatred, even when the user is unaware of the psychological forces involved. Nigger is the ultimate expression of white racism and white superiority, no matter how it is pronounced. This reminds me of when someone tries to tell you who you are. And you tell them that you're not that. And it's just hard for them to believe that could possibly be true. For example, if you tell someone I'm not black, they say, yo, you are clearly black. And then you ask them, do they know their colors? And they say, of course I know my colors. What color is my skin? Brown. But you're still black. See what I mean? It is linguistic corruption, an attack on civility. Well, see, I think the person who wrote this article, and when I intentionally said person, who wrote this article, I think that person should take their civility, should take everything civilized that they can possibly pack up with them and take the civilization, the civility back where they brought it from. Because we ain't gonna settle for nothing but all the way. On a smaller scale, words other than nigger remain accepted public banter in white America. White America. In 1988, on Martin Luther King's birthday, sports commentator Jimmy the Greek Snyder said on national television that black people were better at sports because of slave plantation breeding techniques. And why would it matter what Jimmy the Greek Snyder says? During the slave period, the slave owner would breed his black with his big woman. During the slave period, the slave owner would breed his black with his big woman. So let's keep going. So that he would have a big black kid. That's where it all started. Another sports announcer, Billy Packer, referred to the pro basketball player Allen Iverson as a tough monkey. Another announcer, Howard Cosell, referred to Alvin Garrett, a pro football player with the Washington Redskins. Is that a coincidence that he mentioned the Washington Redskins as a little monkey during a Monday Night Football game? The comments made by Cosell and Packer did not go without any punitive consequences. Check it out. Now, let's translate. Jimmy the Greek Snyder, a foreigner who's here on nigger soil, the people who he falsely calls black, who are Americans, the only Americans it ever was, is, and will be, the people who his people wanted to get next to, wanted to learn from, wanted to be like, He said that black people, the people who are really the Americans, were better at sports because of slave plantation breeding techniques. Okay. So, slave plantation. A plantation is a place where planting happens, right? Slave. A slave is synonymous with laborer, worker, employee. So far we have people working in a place with fertile soil, rivers, lakes, fish, all manner of flora and fauna, beautiful flora and fauna. Many people have written about America, and some have even compared it to Eden, or said it was Eden, right? So come on, let's go. Slave plantation. A place where planting happens. So let's not assume that some people who you term as white were the ones who owned these plantations or places where, or soil portions where planting happens. Planting stuff means you taking care of yourself and possibly a bunch of family too. So you got a slave, which is synonymous with worker, laborer, employee. Again, we're not talking about when somebody go kidnap children or kidnap a woman or a man. We're not talking about people who kidnap people. Like how when you read about these early explorers, some of them, and they say, well, yeah, we saw a 8-year-old boy in the woods, and we saw an 8-year-old nigger Indian in the woods, and we grabbed him and took him back to Europe with us. We're not talking about that. We talking about this, what they talking about slavery in this context. Slave, employee, worker, laborer. That was you. You were a worker, laborer when you had to do chores. You just didn't probably grow up on a farm or a plantation where you had to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and work, and you wouldn't have mind doing it because it's for your people. And it said plantation breeding techniques. So how you and your woman messed around, because them is the breeding techniques. What you and your woman do in y'all bed. During the slave period, the slave owner, which was possibly your people, because slave owners were sometimes synonymous with heads of household. Everyone else in the house at one time was considered dependents. The slave owner, see, this is, you have to understand, this is the language of the foreigner. This is what the civilized foreigner used to do. This is what the civilized, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater foreigner. This is their language. This is the way they get down. So listen, during the slave period, the slave owner, which would probably be your people, and remember, plantation, a place where planting happens, slave, synonymous with worker, laborer, employee. To this day, you gonna get up tomorrow and go to work, right? Breeding techniques, what you and your woman do in the bed. See? During the slave period, the slave owner would breed his black, his American. The slave owner would breed his American. He didn't have to breed his with nobody. His American, his black, his American Indian would already know how to breed or how to mess with somebody. With his big woman, look, we already know. We already know he trying to be funny, but he not funny. He trying to get a rise out of you. And instead, look, when we grow up, when all us come up, we talk about each other. Some people call it the dozens. I don't know what other people playing the dozens. I don't know what other people call it. We used to call it riding. We call it riding when you talking about somebody, you know, basically joking about somebody, just talking about them, period. This is what he trying. I don't understand why our people would take this as racist or offensive and not just ride them, not just talk about them. Like really talk about them until you start crying. You know what I'm saying? Because it's easy to do. I mean, Jimmy the Greek Snyder, come on, man. I'm pretty sure there were plenty of things you could have talked about. But check it out. He say with his big woman, like every sister big and shit. You know what I mean? It's stupid. So that he would have a big black kid. Most children are what, like 7 pounds, 8 ounces or something like that. Even people that today are 6'7", 7 feet tall, 6'3", 6'4". When they babies, they probably still like 7 pounds, 8 ounces or something. So having a big black kid is stupid. is dumb. Yes, they might. Yes, depending on the father. Yes, depending on the father and mother, they might grow up a little. Some people grow up bigger than others. But see, what I'm doing here, what I'm trying to show you here is that the people who you think that are so intelligent and so smart, they're not. They're dumb. They're dumb, despicable people. And the things that they do, this is the best. This to me, this is the best part though. The plantation breeding techniques. This is the best part. This has gotten a lot of people. A lot of people, a lot of people talk about breeding farms. And listen, please, if you have any documentation that is a primary source, is some really believable source about a breeding farm, please put the link in the comments. I would love to read it. Now, I'm not going to go and dig to learn about breeding farms because it sounds dumb to me. But look, plantation breeding techniques. What you do in your bed is the breeding technique, right? So now it says that's where it all started. Another sports announcer, Billy Packer, referred to the pro basketball player Allen Iverson as listen to what it say. Another sports announcer, somebody sitting on the side, right? Referred to pro basketball player Allen Iverson as a tough monkey. Again, I've said this many times. So, a monkey, right? Most of the time, monkeys eat the vegetation. A lot of them be pure muscle. If a monkey is 150 pounds, the monkey is able, some of them bigger, like way more than that, and they able to jump from tree to tree. They able to operate in the top of trees. And not only will a 150-pound monkey most of the time beat an average man to death, but they'll rip your face off. So what I'm saying is, I don't understand what's so bad about a monkey, a tough monkey. I don't know no other type of monkey it is other than a tough one. Another announcer, Howard Cosell, referred to Alvin Garrett, a pro football player with the Washington Redskins, as a little monkey. Again, I don't know what's so bad about a monkey. Maybe they calling homie little. He a pro football player and they calling him little. You know what I mean? Maybe that's offensive to homie, but a monkey, I don't understand what the big deal is. Nigga is one of the most notorious words in American culture. No, it's not. Some words carry more weight than others. If you're an adult, and words are on the level of notorious, then you should you have some reflecting to do. Some words carry more weight than others, but without trying to exaggerate, is genocide just another word? Yes. Pedophilia? Yes. Clearly, no, and neither is nigga. All of them, genocide, pedophilia, them the same word. They all words. It's not the word. It's the thing that the word is describing. The word is nothing. You speak the word, you write the word. That's it. That's the extent of the word. The actual thing that the word is describing in those cases is what you getting bent out of shape about. White supremacists, here we go. White supremacists have found the internet an indispensable tool for spreading their message of hate. Not just them. So-called people who you term as white, we know ain't no white humans. We know they're Anglo-Saxons, a lot of them Europeans. They come from many different places. But the landmass that we call Afro-Eurasia, it's all one landmass. The people come from Afro-Eurasia, most of them, because we know who come from America, us. We the Americans, the only Americans that ever was, is, and will be. No one else comes from here, okay? It's real easy. It's simple. It's simple. The people who you falsely call black, the people who you falsely call African American, not talking about people from the soil portion that is termed Africa who came here recently or came here in the 1900s or the late 1800s. I'm not talking about those people. I guess they could be considered the people who are being referred to as African Americans, but we all know the people who are falsely referred to as African Americans and blacks. It is us, and we are the only Americans there ever was, is, and will be. That's just how it is. It's the truth. The reason the people who term themselves white are so patriotic, because it was a part of their initial contract. Okay? You had to earn the right to call yourself an American. And the way to do that is you had to be patriotic. White supremacists have found the internet an indispensable tool for spreading their message of hate. An internet search of nigger using Netscape or Alta Vista locates many anti-black web pages. No such thing as a black. So anti-nothing web pages. Niggers must die. Hang a nigger for America. Nigger Joke Central and many others. Yeah, they thumb thugs. It's okay, man. It's not a big deal. People sit and they want to cause a stir. They want to stir up things. They want to shake up shit. Web searches find what most blacks know from personal experience. First of all, what is a black? And second of all, we ain't all having these personal experiences. I ain't never had. Listen, I heard people, this one of these rappers in particular, I'm not about to call his name, or whatever, but one of these rappers or whatever, he from Louisiana, and he was telling someone who was interviewing him, he told him that he had never experienced racism, and everybody was going crazy. All the people who was commenting on the video was going crazy. People also did like their reaction videos. They couldn't believe it. He never experienced racism. He was obviously lying. He's been compromised. I'm not talking about whether or not he's been compromised. I'm just saying people were like, he's lying about that. Well, I'm here to tell you, I've never experienced racism as far as how it's being presented. Somebody calling me a nigger, saying nigger. First of all, someone calling you a nigger ain't racism. Somebody calling you something to me is not racism. It's just not. It's just not. It has to be more extreme than you calling me something. And even The most extreme to me wouldn't be racism. Listen, there are miserable people and there are blissful people. It's a lot of miserable people who want everybody to be miserable. You witness these people all the time. To me, it ain't bad, it ain't good or bad, it ain't racism or none of these things. You got miserable people and they don't know nothing but misery. Let's shake it. Web searches find what most blacks know from personal experience. False. That nigga is an expression of anti-black hostility. No, black is an expression of anti-American hostility. Without question, nigga is the most commonly used racist slur during hate crimes. That's false. Hate crimes. That's false. If you doing something to somebody else, it's a hate crime and it ain't got nothing to do with race. It got something to do with you doing something to somebody else. You doing something you ain't got no business doing to somebody else. I don't forget race, forget all that stuff. You gonna get dealt with and your complexion ain't gonna matter. No American minority group has been caricatured as often or in as many ways as black people. That's because there's no such thing as a black person. And the only people that are the people that are the subject of everything are the Americans, us. I mean, that's not shocking. If everyone on the planet comes to a place and the people in that place is the reason that they're coming to that place. They're coming to that place because the people who are from that place have built up this amazing place. They have an enormous amount of soul. They are basically, they have an enormous amount of soul. Everyone wants to be like them. Everyone uses the things that they have created. Of course, these people are going to be the subject of all manner of things, even cartoonish buffoonery, because they do it themselves. We do it ourselves. We do it too. Some of us, not all of us. Some of us do act as buffoons. Can you say a comedian? Some comedians are like buffoon comedians. In 2003, the effort to correct the shameful prevalence of this word yielded positive results. Kwaize Mfume, then president and CEO of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Here is a man, Kwaize Mfume. Is he American? He might be American, changed his name because he was with the Black Power movement. I don't know. I don't know who the man is, but I do know that he was I've heard his name a few times, but I don't know his background. President and CEO of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Here is an organization that is against or correcting the shameful prevalence of the word nigger, but yet the name of their organization is for the advancement of colored people. At least if they're going to say colored, they can put copper on the front of it, right? Right. Gave a speech at Virginia Tech. Everyone was informed that a landmark decision had been made involving the people of Merriam-Webster Dictionary, recognizing their era. Beginning with the next edition, the word nigger will no longer be synonymous with African Americans. Nothing is synonymous with African Americans. Oh, yeah, right. Literally, nothing is synonymous with African Americans in their publications. Black use of the word no use of the word or its alternatives has not lessened its hurt. This is not surprising in a 4-century-old racial hierarchy. 4 centuries, 400 years. It's always 400 years. When is it not going to be 400 years no more? Huh? Ain't it 400 years and some change right now? When is it not going to be 400 years? Sheesh. 400-year-old racial hierarchy shaping the historical relationship between white European Americans. Ain't it enough just to say Europeans? You got to make it false. They got to make everything fake. Relationship between white European Americans. No such thing. Between Europeans and Americans. Anti-black attitudes, anti-nothing attitudes, anti-invisible attitudes, motives, values, and behavior continue. Historically, nigger, more than any other word, captures the personal hatred and institutionalized racism directed toward blacks, toward invisible beings, no such being, redacted, directed toward redaction. Is redaction a word? In 2013, incidents like those involving Atlanta-born restaurant entrepreneur Paula Deen and Oklahoma football player Riley Cooper's use of the word show to refer to black people are still needed. Okay, wait. In 2013, incidents like those involving Atlanta-born restaurant entrepreneur Paula Deen and Oklahoma football player Riley Cooper's use of the word show to refer to black people are still needed. Okay. Paula Deen do everything else a nigga do. Why she can't say nigga? India or Bharat? What's behind the dispute over the country's name? A change to the Sanskrit name is backed by PM Narendra Modi's BJP, which says the word India is a symbol of colonial slavery. India is a symbol of colonial slavery. So the prime minister of what you term as India has a problem with India being called India. Now, why would he? Being that he is from there, why would he have an issue with that? September 6, 2023, after Prime Minister Modi's government referred to the country as Bharat, and official invitations leaving many wondering whether the name will be changed. In dinner invitations sent on Tuesday to guests attending the week's Group of 20 G20 summit, Murmu is referred to as President of Bharat instead of the usual President of India. On the same day, a tweet by a senior spokesman of the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party said Modi was attending a summit of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations in Indonesia as the Prime Minister of Bharat and not India. But you thought, not you, but those who would have us remain indoctrinated and under a heavy hypnosis would have us believe that how can we be American Indians when the people from India are Indians? But here we have someone from that soil portion, instead of calling himself the Prime Minister of India, he's calling himself the Prime Minister of Bharat. Why? In its constitution, the world's most populous country is known as India and Bharat. Hindustan, Land of the Hindus is another word for the country. The three names are used interchangeably, officially, and by the public. However, around the world, India is the most commonly used name. Do you agree with me that a definite effort has been made so that around the world, India is the most commonly used name, just as around the world, when people think of the Americans, at times they're thinking of, you actually have people who think that the Anglo-Saxon is the original American, is the person who sprouted from the American soil, from the Mississippi Delta soil. Let's stay on point. The name is Sanskrit term. The name is a Sanskrit term found in scriptures written about 2,000 years ago. It refers to an ambiguous territory, Bharatavarsha, which stretched beyond today's borders of India and may have extended to include what is today Indonesia. While there is no constitutional objection to calling India Bharat, do you see what the propagandists are doing? This is AlJazeera.com. I apologize for not saying who wrote this article. I just jump right into it. This is from Al Jazeera, www.aljazeera.com. And do you see how the propaganda is established, how the propaganda is put out to you? It says, while there is no constitutional objection to calling India Bharat. No, it's not calling India Bharat. There is no constitutional objection to calling Bharat Bharat, right? Didn't they just tell you? Didn't the people from that place tell you what it's called? Haven't they told you before? Which is one of the country's two official names. I hope the government will not be so foolish as to completely dispense with India, which has incalculable brand value built up over centuries. Brand value. The only reason people are against it is because of, you guessed it. You guessed it. Ducats, paper. Fauntleroys. The bag. Because a bank. I hope the government will not be so foolish as to completely dispense with India, which has incalculable brand value built up over centuries. Shashi Tharoor, a lawmaker for the Indian National Congress Party, posted on X, the site formerly known as whatever. Congress is leading a new opposition alliance that was recently formed with the aim of unseating Modi in the 2024 general election. Of course, Modi is, I guess, trying to mess with that brand value that the name, the falsely called India moniker, the impact it has on that soil portion. We all say Bharat. What is new in this? We all say Bharat. Do you hear this? Listen. We all say Bharat. So if that's not India, what is? If they're not Indians, who are? Who are the Indians? We all say Bharat. What is new in this? But the name India is known to the world. So what we're hearing here is let's acquiesce. That's it. Let's submit. Submission. Submission is the key. Brand value, submission. What happened suddenly that the government had to change the name of the country? Asked Mamata Banerjee, a top opposition leader. The BJP has argued that the name India is a remnant of the country's colonial past. Naresh Bansal, a BJP member of parliament, said the name India is a symbol of colonial slavery and should be removed from the Constitution. And just like Black African American, but those are not mentioned in the Constitution. But they should be removed, not by legislation. They should be removed from your vocabulary, or they should be removed by you from referring to yourself as those. But you can do what you want to do. If you are black, if you're African American, more power to you. Naresh Bansal, a BJP member of parliament, said the name India is a symbol of colonial slavery and should be removed from the Constitution. The British changed Bharat's name to India. The British changed Bharat's name to India. You know what's a shame? That people still call it India, even though they're telling the people from that place are telling you it's not India. It's not called India. Now I know. Who cares about who cares about lines on the map, and who cares about what a name is of a place? Well, the people who came from that place, they care. Just like here. Just like America. We care. I care. This is not black land. This is not African American land. This is not the land of all people who decide to pack up their people and come here. The British changed Bharat's name to India, Bansal said in a parliamentary session. Our country has been known by the name Bharat for thousands of years. The name India was given by the colonial Raj and is thus a symbol of slavery. You can learn from what was just said. You can learn from what was just said. But quick sidebar. Quick sidebar. I asked a woman from that place that is termed India. I know it's not called India. I asked her, do your people and the people of that place call that place India? And she said the people in the north call it Hindustan. The people in the south call it Bharat. And the people in the touristy sections call it India. The India is for tourism. And I asked her, why did she call it India when referring to it? She says because it's just been said so much, she just goes with the flow. Oxford English Dictionary. Nigger is the word we're looking at. This is Niee. Nigger. This is the hard ER. No. Okay. Oxford English Dictionary. The word is one of the most controversial in English and is liable to be considered offensive or taboo in almost all contexts, even when used as a self description. Used by black people, especially African Americans, as a neutral or favorable term. It says as of 1831, used by black people, no such thing as a black, especially African Americans, no such thing as an African American, as a neutral or favorable term. A dark skinned person of any origin. In early U.S. use, usually with reference to American Indians. Do the right thing.